minutes long, and it's a decent establishment video that attempts to organize what is to come. It's a prologue, and it truly highlights some of the things that Mort has done. In the Madagascar franchise, that is. Some people thought I was making outlandish claims about him in that video and not backing it up. I want to again inform you, those were not my claims. Those were literally things Mort is in the spin-off show. He does have like 12 wives. He is a soul sucker. He is genetically anomalous. I also do have some more news, though. The mystery series I will be incorporating into this, alongside my Dubois and Over the Hedge theories, might be my 8-part series on the lore of Shrek. That means the timeline theory, 4 godmother theories, 2 donkey theories, and the recent Reggie video will all be a part of this huge DreamWorks dissertation. We'll see how big this video, part 2, ends up being as well, and then we'll regroup. Before we begin, I also have updated news on the Madagascar timeline. From what I understand, Penguins of Madagascar, the TV show, does come after everything in the timeline because at the end of their movie, they meet up with the circus gang again in a post-credits scene I had missed. We see Julian and friends in a Madagascar crate during the Penguins TV intro sequence, but it's likely a scheme of some sort after breaking up with Sonia. So with that said, incorporating the shorts and once again excluding the intro scenes of Madagascar 2 and Penguins, our official timeline stands as All Hail King Julian, The Christmas Caper, Madagascar the First, Merry Madagascar, Madagascar the Second, Madly Madagascar, Madagascar the Third, the Penguins movie, and yes, finally the Penguins TV show. We've finally put a definitive and necessary close on the timeline. There seems to be an upcoming Hulu prequel show detailing the Zoo Gang as children, and that would be before everything, but it's irrelevant to Mort, and it's not even here yet. So now, people, do you know what time it is? I promised part 2 would be me detailing Mort's oddness in the Penguins TV show, but I just had to watch All Hail King Julian. I had to, and I watched all 6 seasons of it. It consumed the month of May. It's why I got no uploads out. So we'll do that first and highlight every bit of oddness in this video. Warning of a lifetime, I might need more than just one. Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and you can tell it's weird when this show is stranger than all of my other theories combined. It's made by different people, but it's canon still, so this will get interesting. It's basically like these writers are literally tempting conspiracy theorists. They load in as many offhand weird comments as possible and literally bait you into solving them. Silver platter granted to me, I swear to you. It's painfully self-aware. What they've done is crazy. Mort is like if my Patrick Star theories all came true. I'm not joking. He truly is a multi-dimensional identity absorber. This is quickly going to devolve into a rapid bullet point format of insanity. Any qualms I had about him just being delusional this whole time were obliterated with this show from the first moments when he tempts the Fusa with a high-key, dance? What this episode does try to explain is the feat. Julian rushes in and kicks the predators away with his dance, and Mort develops an obsession with his savior, King Julian, and the weapon of his salvation, his, feet. It might not be the true root of this obsession, though. We'll see later if it's a red herring or not. Here, Mort has suspicious intentions, and seems smart enough to evade death, and has love for Julian. We already know all of this. The show is full of that fast-paced, lazy joke slapstick, and yet it's also wildly inappropriate and amusing at totally random moments. This will also be a review of the show in some ways. In episode 2, he continues with the inappropriate references, and in episode 3, he authors a best-selling coloring book called 50 Shades of King Julian. When asked to keep a secret, he claims that he has voices that tell him to hide things until it's too late for people to stop him. In this episode, he also survives being eaten by a carnivorous flower and projectile vomiting way more than his body allows for. He is also blown up, crushed, carried away by a bird, and slammed into the ground from hundreds of feet. And again, the humor, it's so adult. There is no way kids wouldn't pick up on this, it's so constant. In the following episode, people literally get drunk from partying, and in episode 5, the Fusa engage in a proclaimed mating ritual to create a new species. It's absolutely crazy. There's this evil Fanaloka named Carl, who has an intimate relationship with his purring pet cockroach. The show is self-aware, and Mort is always this show's test subject. The characters seem to already know he's indestructible, and they send him into dangerous situations constantly. Mort thinks Julian has exploded near the end of episode 3, and proclaims that no matter how much Julian rots, he will put him back together, and they'll live with each other forever and ever. A whole new level of disturbed. Packed with lore as ever, the end of the episode seems to reveal that there are certain gods in the sky who respect the denizens of Madagascar. This is our first true taste of the supernatural in this show, and it might come in handy down the road. Still, we're only a few episodes in. This is going to drain me in the best way possible. But back to episode 4, Mort is behaving and speaking a little more intensely while doing a security check on someone. He wears a glove on his head, and it transforms him. From what I've read on the wiki, I'm fairly certain I know what this is, but I'll delve more into that later, because if I theorize now, it'll just be answered later and the time will be wasted. Basically though, Mort spontaneously changes personality, accent, appearance, and still notices that the feet look different today. In the 5th episode, he claims the feet haunt his dreams with pleasure. Mort seems to be lucid no matter how dumb he behaves. He has slightly violent tendencies too, I've noticed, to go along with his indestructibility. He says crazy things while self-aware, proclaiming Julian and Maurice's argument as a mommy and daddy fight. But pause on Mort for a second and let's go back to those sky gods the lemurs worship. When episode 7 begins, they play a boombox and clouds roll in, seemingly confirming the existence of those deities, but I have to theorize a little bit here, bear with me, because one episode prior, King Julian's bodyguard, Clover, goes on a vacation and she meets a very strange spiritual guru inner peace guy named Sage, who, when he heads off, whistles and a massive bird carries him away into the sky. Could this little bit of oddness be tied to the sky gods? We'll need to see if this sort of thing ever shows up again, because Sage's supernatural aura could tie to these sky gods and Mort can tie to them, thereby possibly answering some things. Because Mort and these deities are the two main supernatural elements of this show, from what I've seen so far. You know, aside from this lizard oracle, this show is chaotic neutral. Julian tries to fix his boombox so as to reconnect with Kevin, the god of precipitation, with the help of a small teneric named Timo, who claims Julian's family is inbred. Inappropriate kids show, but there's your single explanation for Julian's behavior. Inbreeding. Timo fixes the boombox with mechanical skills and becomes their scientist. He works out of a crashed USSR space pod. While he fixes the boombox to reconnect with the sky gods, Mort tries to summon rain with a song of his own and flings sticks into the sky. He suddenly screams, "Sun!" and then the sticks return stab him perfectly with maximum force. It's possible that he's an enemy of the sky gods and may not even know it. When they bring back the boombox to summon Kevin, Mort screams that the boombox is undead like a zombie and panics. You have experience with that too, Mort? In a previous episode, we saw Mort's X-ray, but here, a blow dryer seems to go through his mouth and out his butt real quick, so which is it? Normal anatomy or anomalous? When he invites the local oracle into his home, he has a very odd demeanor and offers her a lotion made of his own tears. In this episode, episode 7, everyone sort of talks to themselves and acts if they have voices and identities, but Mort, as usual, takes the cake when he gets in the bathtub with the oracle and claims they'll be sisters forever. They borderline portray him as Annie from Misery, as creepy as maximally self-aware as possible. They play the creepiest music as Mort disappears and then reappears with a blonde wig on, and treats her like they are sisters. Something's going on here. Something tells me this is a soul the wiki had referred to, one he absorbed. I'm getting ahead of myself. Next episode, Mort bullies Maurice and then joins a monarchy rebellion group who manipulates him into creating good art to convince others of rebelling. Based off of the things he's drawing, I'm quite sure he knows he's being manipulated. He flips back and forth, eats dog meat and vomits it up. He knocks a ton of cacti over on them. He knows he's irritating them. In episode 9, he's scared, then bold, then claims he saves cake for his cheat days, and then things finally hit their stride and unravel in the season 1 finale. We're going through this quick and I'm taking notes real quick. First, Maurice claims that he's just a co-star, implying he knows he's on a TV show. Then, Mort hits back with the innuendo saying he loved to eat the yummy King Julien. But the finale's true purpose is what shocks me most of all and answers many of the oddities so far. You see, there's this cove of wonders near their kingdom where tons of stuff washes ashore and they find coffee. Julien gives it to the kingdom to improve productivity, and Mort tries chewing the coffee because he's stupid and he screeches about how he has a drinking problem. The kingdom starts losing it, and then, literally right after this show jokes about conspiracies of super-intelligent Middle-earth government corruption, the most actually unexpected, left-field answer to all of this madness emerges from the shadows. Mort walks in with a monocle on and a British accent, claiming coffee has had a drastic effect on him, making him extremely intelligent for in his system. I believe Mort, being this small and having that much coffee, has had this effect that cranked him way past being hyper and basically acted as a drug unlocking his brain. I can't tell if this is just a more intelligent Mort or a new personality altogether, but smart Mort does claim he loves King Julien just as regular Mort does. It's soon revealed that the evil Carl guy set up the coffee to take over the kingdom with caffeine addiction. Smart Mort helps save the day, claiming normal Mort is barely competent. He convinces all of Carl's guards that they should be unsatisfied with their current healthcare plan and that he can help them form a union to negotiate a working wage and retirement plan. I am not joking. This is like the culmination of every whack theory I've ever posted on this channel, and I'm made for this. Carl's workers turn on him and Mort slowly degrades back and forth before becoming obsessed over the feat once again. The day is saved and season 1 finishes, but the show is not nearly over, and my theories are truly just now beginning. In season 2, Mort keeps being crazy and playing along with jokes, including when he spontaneously summons an organ out of thin air and says he won't explain how he did it. The second episode is one massive social commentary after another, and the third showcases Mort's creepiness when his voice deepens. It's so romantically disturbed. He brings out the blonde wig again and then tries to make a self-aware joke by saying, "Denial isn't just a river I heard about, apparently." He claims he's been in strange love before. Or is this a separate wig persona? We meet Clover's sister, Crimson, and she almost gets married to Julien, who objects and claims he's having an affair by loving his kingdom more than her, causing her to dip out and team up with Julien's uncle, who is trying to reclaim the throne. More later on that. But the reason for Mort's wig here? He's the flower girl of the wedding. He behaves differently, I swear. It's not the Mort we're used to. By episode 4, things start to get weird again when King Julien is given a pineapple and tricked into believing it contains the knowledge of all kings prior, after he rips apart the beach ball of baby lemurs and tells them to go home and atrophy like normal children. What? Mort gets jealous of the pineapple's closeness to Julien and dreams of mutilating it. His worries aren't baseless, as Julien claims to spoon the pineapple at night. Mort kidnaps the pineapple and ties it to a chair while putting on a villainous accent and stroking his tail like a villain would stroke its cat. This is almost certainly another persona. So now we've got Smart Mort, the Misery Mort, this Mort, I'll catalog it later. They all seem to share the same motivations, like Mort has influenced them, but at their core they are not our Mort. Mort hallucinates that the pineapple is sentient and mocking him. When approached about his kidnapping of the pineapple, his inner monologue panics and then suddenly his face changes, and another Mort responds to the inner monologue followed by another, and then one of them says, "I thought we were alone in here." They are now quite distinctly escalating the voices in his head from joke status to mystery status. To escape the confrontation, Mort spontaneously vomits excessively before regretting the sadness he's brought to Julien by kidnapping the pineapple. He tries returning it and evades some Fusa by tempting them with his little dance again. The Sky Gods perform a Deus Ex Machina and strike down the Fusa with lightning, but Julian seemingly dies in the ensuing madness and appears in limbo where the pineapple some friggin' how proves itself to actually be sentient, unless this is just his subconscious. Just before he reawakens, Mort claims, "He looks so peaceful. I can have his body, right?" He says it in the creepiest possible alternate accent. Who is this now? Is it really Mort? Regardless of the pineapple's sapience, the episode ends when Mort crushes it with a sledgehammer. Next episode, he makes an intentionally creepy drawing of Julian, and to top it off, helps introduce money into the kingdom. He immediately becomes a loan shark who cons people within seconds. I'm not sure if his cleverness is him or another persona. He manipulates the entire population of the kingdom and creates devil deal contracts in which people sell him their souls or their babies. Again, this is all word for word in the show. He then promises Julian money if he sells his body to him by having Mort go on a date with his foot. What the Everyone's off because he hoards the money as a tycoon, culminating when Mort says game over and reveals he thought he was playing Monopoly the whole time. Next episode, Sage comes back and we see the huge hawk who he claims is his spirit animal. Other than that, there is still no evidence Sage has relations with the Sky Gods. In the 7th episode of Season 2, Mort claims he's always off in his own world before his eyes split apart. This is in an episode amongst rigorous political innuendo regarding Julian's ancestors